Hello everyone. Welcome to our new series about Introduction to Biology. This will be your guide to understanding the basics of biology and why it's so important to learn and understand. Biology is one of the main branches of science that teaches us about life on Earth and how living things exist in their surroundings. As we go through this series, you'll come across videos based on a variety of biology topics. These videos will help you understand closely what different kinds of living organisms are, how they grow, how they function, how they live, and what they eat. We are going to make biology exciting and easy to grasp. Unit 1: Biodiversity. Let's break down that word for you. Bio means life and diversity means the different forms. So, biodiversity is all about the different varieties of living organisms found on Earth and in their various habitats. Think about it. From the smallest bacteria to the largest whales, they all contribute to Earth's biodiversity. Now, to truly understand biodiversity, it's super helpful to know what an ecosystem is. An ecosystem can be described as a community of living things that interact with each other and with their non-living surrounding environment. All living organisms have different forms and unique needs to grow and live. For your example, imagine you in your school classroom, surrounded by classmates, teachers, books, and desks. The classroom itself, or even your entire school, can be considered an example of a small ecosystem. Similarly, when you look at different organisms, like animals, they have many different kinds of requirements to live. Some prefer cold weather, while others thrive in warm water. This is how we can classify different ecosystems based on how different living organisms are found in different environments. Moving to types of ecosystems. Broadly, we classify ecosystems into three main types: terrestrial, aquatic, and artificial. Terrestrial ecosystems are where living organisms are surrounded by land. Think of grasslands, forests, or even deserts. Aquatic ecosystems are environments where living organisms are surrounded by water, ocean, lakes, rivers, and ponds are all examples of aquatic ecosystems. Then finally, we have artificial ecosystems. These are the environments where it is created and influenced by humans. A city, a farm, or even a zoo can be an artificial ecosystem. Now, for a quick test to see how much you have understood the concept, look at the background image on this slide. Can you tell me which type of ecosystem is displayed? Yes, the answer is at the bottom right side of the slide. It's an aquatic ecosystem. As a self-assignment, pick another living organism and try to understand what its ecosystem is. Think about where it lives and what surrounds it. Components of an ecosystem and taxonomy is our next subtopic. Now that you know what an ecosystem is, let's break down its many components into simpler terms. An ecosystem can be divided firstly into two main parts: biotic components, which are the living organisms. This includes humans, animals, plants, bacteria, and fungi. Basically, anything that's alive. Abiotic components on the other hand, are non-living things present in an ecosystem. Examples include rock, water, soil, sunlight, and air. These non-living elements are just as important because they provide the conditions for life to exist. Another fascinating way we classify living organisms is through something called taxonomy. Now, as big as this term sounds and you not being familiar to it, let me explain to you what taxonomy is. It is the science of classifying and naming organisms based on their shared characteristics. It's like organizing a giant library of all the life on the earth. Scientists use a system that goes from very broad categories to very specific ones. For instance, animals are categorized into class. The topmost broad category, like Mammalia for mammals. Then comes order, like carnivore for meat eaters. Then genus, like Felicea for certain cats. And finally, species, that is for like cat or domestic cats. This system helps us understand the relationship between different living things. Now, coming to what is meant by order of living organisms. Speaking of classification, living organisms can also be grouped by what they eat. We have three main categories. Herbivores, which refers to the living organisms that primarily feed on plants like grass or leaves. Think of a cow or a rabbit. Carnivores, on the other hand, are the living organisms that feed on other animals or say higher living organisms. A lion or a wolf are a great example of carnivores. And then there are omnivores, which are living organisms that feed on both plants and animals. Humans are common examples of omnivores, as are bears. These classifications help us understand how energy flows through an ecosystem. This is where we try to understand the next subtopic, which is food chain and food webs. Food chain is like a simple map that shows how energy flows from one organism to another when one organism consumes another. It showcases who eats who. For example, grass is eaten by a grasshopper. The grasshopper is eaten by a mouse. The mouse by a snake and the snake by a hawk. This shows a direct path of energy transfer. Now in reality, ecosystems are much more complex than a single food chain. That's where a food web comes in. A food web is a complex network made up of many interconnected food chains within an ecosystem. It shows how different organisms get their energy from various sources. Example, a mouse might eat grass, but it could also eat seeds. And a snake might eat a mouse, but it could also eat a frog. This intricate network is crucial for the balance of nature. Understanding these connections is the key to understanding how ecosystem thrives and how biodiversity is maintained. Thank you.